He really is. You know, he's just, like I said, he's done so much for his own family and families all over the world. And, you know, I love and support him no matter what he does, as I know he does me.
Well, to your dad's credit and the Dixie Chicks and others, they spoke out before and at the start and during the war, and a lot of people tried to demonize him, but I think the Chicks have come out even better on the other side of this and more respected. Big films being made about him, obviously. Your father, if it was possible, has only gotten bigger and more respected. So I think at the end of the day, the moral here is we can't let bullies intimidate us from not using our First Amendment right to free speech.
Yep, I totally agree. And
I think the person that made those threats, I think they need to know that they failed, because your dad came back on the show and spoke out even more, and he went on Democracy Now!, national television, and spoke out last week. And so I would just tell those individuals that they have failed. I want to talk more about your father and your family and your music later, but now let's get into the Paula Nelson Band, because I just love your voice. I mean, it just sounds like country gold to me, but with kind of a mix of modern to it. How would you describe your musical development and where it's led you today to the Paula Nelson Band?
Well, I mean, I definitely think couldn't help be influenced from all the talent, you know, surrounding me from birth, between, my father, of course, Waylon Jennings, Rita Coolidge, Jesse Coulter, and of course, Aretha Franklin. There was just so many. And then there were so many that we were surrounded with that I didn't even realize how cool and talented they were until I got older and really started appreciating music.
Johnny Cash.
Of course, Johnny and June, Roseanne, their daughter, just all kids that Shooter Jennings, we all grew up together, really. So I don't think any of us really understood what an honor it was, what great music and what a great influences we were under. Even, with all the pros and cons, of course, too. It was hard growing up in school being Willie Nelson's daughter. I just would rather kind of blend in rather than stick out. But it taught me a lot of lessons and made me stronger.
Well, you're a sweetheart to spend time with us, and I get the same spirit from you that I get from your dad and other folks, who do love, just being good, decent people. Paula, there's so many nuggets. I'm a huge Waylon Jennings fan, huge Johnny Cash fan. I mean, not just a fan of their music, but what they stood for, everything. And people are always wanting to know more about the narrative of their lives. Behind the scenes, growing up, being around them, around their kids, any interesting stories or nuggets about Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, or any of these people?
Well, yeah, actually, there's a few pictures out there. I think there's a couple on my MySpace site. But when I was, I was probably 5 or 6, and Waylon and his band, and he had a drummer, his name's Richie Albright, and I just had a crush on both of them. And, at a very early, I'd run up to Waylon, he'd give me a kiss and say, "Who's number one?" And I'd say, "You are." And then I'd take off and I'd run into Richie Albright, and he'd say, "Paula," and he'd pick me up and I'd give him a kiss and say, "You are." Tell him he was number one. And then my mom said I'd see both of them coming and just take off the other direction. So, at an early age, I knew, I don't want to have to choose between the two. But, they were all my uncles and my buddies, and that's just one of the many, many stories I can think of that was kind of comical.
I mean, just from afar and seeing him in a few shows, Waylon Jennings had an amazing presence, didn't he? Or what was it like knowing him in person?
Like I said, it didn't click to me that they were any different than anybody else's parents or family members. Or I didn't really understand that they were different, or that Dad was different, or our family was different in any way until, the kids in school got old enough to really remind me or let me know that we were different. Like, well, what is it like to know so many people, and what is it like to be rich? And I personally didn't have a dime to my name, me, myself, so I didn't understand. So that made it a little bit difficult. But then after I got out of school and was able to hang out and, with the likes of Waylon and Leon, I was just in awe by their talent and their, it was Uncle Waylon and Uncle Leon and Dad, and I didn't even know how hard it was to play the guitar. I didn't realize what a great guitar player or songwriter it was until I tried to do both on my own, and then realized just how cool my dad, talented really he is.
Last time I had your father on, last Monday, I brought up, when did you, did he start out being this, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, really calm, zen, sweet guy? Because, being around your dad a few times, amazing presence. Or did he develop that? I think he kind of said it just developed in the things that happened in life. You've been there for a big portion of your dad's life. It seems like your dad just gets better with time, or his whole spirit gets even stronger with time, or was he always like that when you were even a child?
I think he's always been like that. He's always been really calm and cool. And like I said earlier, what you see is what you get. He doesn't put on any airs or, I'm Willie Nelson and look what all I do. He is just the most down-to-earth person that there is, and he's hysterically funny. And we're both black belts in Taekwondo.
Yeah.
And, he's a machine. We call him the Energizer Bunny. He's just, he's awesome.
He certainly is. When we get back, we're going to talk more about your new album, Lucky 13. What a great name for an album, and great tracks. We've been listening to them the last few days. And, folks, you want to get a copy of the new CD, it's at paulanelsonband.com. There's a link there on the site to her MySpace. It's a great MySpace page. I was just looking at it while we were talking. We'll be right back with Paula Nelson from the Paula Nelson Band.
Couldn't really help feeling. It doesn't feel like it's alright. I go through this every night. It doesn't hurt to set aside something meaning in this entirety, just like it used to be. Misunderstood most every day.
Find Your Way. That's on the album Lucky 13. You can get it at paulanelsonband.com and stores here and there around the country. You can also go to our MySpace and find out more, again, at paulanelsonband.com. That's also got like a bluesy sound, like a blues / country. I'm not really an expert on describing music, but I certainly like it. I know a lot of folks here in Austin that I run into that are big fans of your music. How would you describe your genre of music, Paula?
Well, I think there's definitely the blues in there. I love country, but I'm more of a fan of the old country, and so Ray Charles and, I think it's more of a southern rock, maybe, because there are definitely some rockin' songs, but, of course I love Bonnie Raitt, and then to people here in Austin, of course, Tony Price, a huge influence. Carolyn Wonderland rocks, too. So, Luann Barton, Angela Strela, I've had all kinds of local influences as well as, all over the place.
There's a lot of tracks on here. Coming back out of the next break, what do you think is a good song for us to play part of? Day-to-Day Love is one of my favorites, of course, because my dad and my little brother Luke sing harmony with me, and, of course, my dad plays guitar, and then Tosca is playing on the song, and it's just a beautiful, and then Fire Below, I'm pretty partial to that one, too. What was the first instrument that you played, Paula?
I started playing piano when I was about 4 or 5, and I didn't take lessons. I just played by ear. And in fact, I was convinced that the Partridge Family had stolen a song from me because I started playing I Think I Love You, but the first song that I started playing, not actually the way the song sounds, but at 5, I was writing my own. And then so I played the piano for a while and then took up guitar. My dad bought me my first guitar. And I had no idea how hard it was to play the guitar. It's much easier playing the pianos. But, I do all my writing with either one.
I don't know the first thing about guitar playing, but I asked Jimmy Vaughn. I said, Willie Nelson's a great guitar player, isn't he? He goes, oh, he's a fabulous guitar player, and that your dad is constantly changing things and improvising, kind of like some of the other greats, that so many times he plays something different each time.
He definitely has a very unorthodox way of playing. He puts his, I think it was Bob Dylan that said, He puts his own trip on everything, you know, and he does. Whatever he does, you can always tell it's him playing because he's got his own style and everything he does.
Jimi Hendrix did that too. He was always improvising, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, it's just amazing. Like I said, I didn't realize how hard it was until I tried to play one, and then I paid attention to how my dad played his, and it's pretty cool.
What's the story on your dad's famous guitar? How old is that, and how did it get the big hole in it?
Well, it's a classical guitar, so it doesn't have a pick guard, to my knowledge, and so that is just from him strumming and strumming and strumming for the last, I think he started when he was in his 30s, late 20s, 30s. Well, he started singing on stage when he was 5 at his dad's pool hall, and then it just progressed from there, but I'm not quite sure how old that guitar is, but it's got to be at least 40-some years old.